Okay, as usual, or as we did last week, I would like you all to make sure you have a piece of paper. It can be lined paper, graph paper. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to do just 4 problems here, practicing this mixed number divided by mixed number problems because we were not very good at it as a class the other day. So we're going to practice it here on this, and then we're going to practice it again tomorrow. We really got to get this down because there's a lot of little steps that have to be done. Okay, so this first one here you can just do along with me or just watch, but I would rather you do it with me. Here you have a mixed number divided by a mixed number. Now, remember, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. Ask the question, which is how many groups of 2/6, or I'm sorry, how many groups of 2 and 3/6 are there in 3 and 4/5? Now, because I know that means that 2 whatever make a group, and that's smaller than 3, then I know that this answer is going to be greater than 1. So we're just going to put that at the top right now, just so that we can remember that we're going to have something bigger than 1. It could be 1 or 1 and 1/2, 1 and 3/4. It could be 2, but I know at least to start there that we know it's going to be greater than 1 because my dividend, what's being divided, is larger than the size of the groups. Okay? So, remember, this is how I want it done. I do expect you to do it or it'll be wrong on the test. I want this done in 2 steps. And you got to trust me that I know what your mistake's going to be before you make it. Just trust me. Okay? First of all, we're going to convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions, which means we're going to go around the barn. Now, remember, on the test, I might ask you why. Why does around the barn work? And the reason is, again, if we know that 5 pieces makes a whole pizza, and I have 3 whole pizzas, wouldn't I multiply it to figure out how many I have? Because think about it, I have 3 whole pizzas. That's what that 3 represents. Each pizza is cut into 5 whole slices. So I know right there we would multiply to figure out I have 15 slices. But then I have 1 partial pizza, which has 4 extra pieces. That's why we add on the numerator. Okay, so that is where you get 19/5. Okay, leave it as division. This is the first step, just converting. Do the same thing over here. It's going to be 12 plus 3 is 15/6. Okay, now that's step 1. Didn't really do anything except for converting those to improper fractions. Okay, now step 2, that's when we're going to do the algorithm for division of fractions, which is division is just multiplication by the divisor's reciprocal. So the dividend never changes. Keep that as 19/5. Divide is going to become multiply. And then the reciprocal of 15/6 would be 6/15. Okay, and I have to get a calculator out. 19 times 6 gives me 114. Okay, and 5 times 15 is going to give me 75. Okay. Now to simplify this, think here we could go up and 1 second. Okay. Again, you can go up to your paper and actually do the greatest common factor, if that'll help you. Here I know this is going to be 2 and 57. Okay, it's prime. Okay, then I know that 57 has a factor of 3 because 5 plus 7 is 12. So I know 57 divided by 3 then is 19, and I know 19 is prime. Okay. This one here, I know that it breaks down to 5 and 15, just like we did there. Okay. 5 and 15. 5 is prime, and I know that that breaks down to 5 and 3. Okay, now I'm ready to stack these. 2 times 3 times 19, and 3 times 5 times 5. The only factor they have in common, the only CF, is 3. Therefore, I know both of these are divisible by 3. Okay, 114 divided by 3 is going to give me 38. 75 divided by 3 is going to give me 25. Now to convert this to a mixed number, we do 38 divided by 25. 25 goes into 38 one whole time. Then we multiply, subtract, get our remainder, 1 and 13/25. There you go, and there's your answer. See the two steps though. I want it remaining a division problem, just putting in fraction form, one number over another. And then I want to see the algorithm, and then I got to see your simplifying. There's a lot of little things that are going on here. If you think about it, you have this around the barn action that's happening here. That's a good opportunity for a silly mistake. Then, the algorithm really isn't you're not going to make a silly mistake there, but then when you're simplifying, I see a lot of silly mistakes. Okay? Now, here's what I want you to do. There's going to be 4 problems. I don't want you to do all these 2 and these 2. I don't want to do them all at once. I want you to do number 1. So pause it and do 1, and then come back and make sure you did it right, and then go on to 2. I don't want you to do number 1 wrong, then number 2 wrong, then number 3 wrong, and then go back and watch and listen. You do 1, you listen to me go over it. Okay? So go ahead and pause now and do number 1. Okay? Here's number 1. Remember, has to happen in 2 steps. Okay, 2 steps have got to be happening here. Okay? First step would be to go around the barn. Turn them into improper fractions. So that's going to be 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 would then give me my 8/5. Denominator always stays the same. Leave it as a division problem. Do the same thing here. You get 19/5. Again, is that the same fraction? Yep. Okay. Now we're ready for the algorithm for division, which is the dividend stays the exact same. Division becomes multiplication, and the reciprocal of that becomes 5 over 19. Okay, and that's going to be 40 over 114. No, 5 times 19, hang on. 95. Okay, pretty simple one to simplify here, because it ends in 0 and 5, so I know that 5 is a factor of both of these. Okay, so that's going to make it 8 over 19. Okay, and then there you go. I know that's in simplest form because 19 is a prime number, and they don't share any factors. Now, real quick, I forgot to mention this, and I should have. You should have asked the question at the beginning and said, how many groups of 3/4 can there be in 1 3/5? Well, hopefully you all said, wait a minute, this has to be less than 1 because your group size is larger than what you have. So you had to have a proper fraction where the smaller number is on top. Okay? Now I would like everybody to please go on to number 2. Okay, so now, first of all, I'm going to correct myself on what I did on the last one. I'm going to start by just making a prediction whether this answer is going to be greater than 1 or less than 1. Okay, that's where I'm going to begin. And since the question is how many groups of 1 1/6 are there in 2 2/3, I know that this has to be, this is going to have to be greater than 1 because I know that I can make at least one group of that in that, right? So that's where I start. So I know this is going to have to be some sort of mixed number, 1 and something, 2 and something, something like that. Okay? So now we're going to do our steps. Step number 1, convert it to an improper fraction. So that's going to be 8/3 divided by, same thing here, 7/6. That's the first step. Now we're going to go to step 2. Do the algorithm. Dividend stays the same. Divide becomes multiply. And the reciprocal of that is 6/7. Now we end up getting 48 over 21. Now right away, because I know my math facts, I start thinking, okay, the only factors of 21 are 7 and 3. Okay, so I'm going to check 3 here. And remember, the way you check it is to add the digits, 4 and 8, and you get 12. Does 3 have a factor, or is 3 a factor of 12? Yes, it is. And I know 3 is a factor of 21, so I know this is divisible by 3. Okay, and I'm going to end up getting 16 over 7. Okay. Now I'm going to convert that to a mixed number because we always have to. 16 over 7 would be 2 and remainder 2/7. So this is 2 and 2/7, which I go back to what I said initially, that my answer had to be greater than 2, and I say, yep, I see that it is. Okay. Hopefully you're getting these right. Let's go on to the 3rd and 4th one. Go ahead. First thing I want you to do before you start, everybody make a prediction up at the top. Is this going to be less than 1 Or is this going to be greater than 1, or is it going to be equal to 1? Make your prediction and then go ahead and do the problem. Okay? Here, I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 steps down here. Okay? Let's go ahead and make a prediction like we talked about. How many groups of 2 1/2 are there in 6 2/5? Since my group size is a lot smaller, or not a lot, but is smaller than my dividend, what's being divided, I know that this answer has got to be greater than 1. Hopefully you all said that as well. It's got to be, because your group size is less than what you have, so you're at least going to have 1 group. Okay? First step, convert them to impropers. I got to see these steps. It's going to be 32 over 5. Leave it as division, and then 5 over 2. Again, guys, I hope you're all understanding me. What I'm showing you here, this stuff right here, and this stuff right here, it's got to be there. If it's not, it's going to be wrong. I'm making you do it. It's only to help you, though. So this must be there. Now, dividend stays the same. Divide becomes multiply, and the reciprocal of 5 over 2 would be 2/5. Now we're ready to go. This is going to be 64 over 25. Now, when I'm trying to simplify this, I'm trying to think, okay, the only factors of 25 that I know of are 1, 25, and 5, which none of those are a factor of 64. So this thing is in simplest form. So now we got to convert it to a mixed number. I know that 25 will go into 64 2 whole times. And then I multiply, and I get 14, a remainder of 14, and that just becomes your numerator, your fraction. So you end up getting 2 and 14 25ths. Okay, hopefully you all got that. You know, a lot of times I'm watching, as you guys were working through this on yesterday, I remember a lot of you are just like 1 number off because it's just some silly mistake that's happening. Okay, and again, there's my answer. There was my prediction that it was greater than 1. So we made a good guess there. Okay, that was number 3. I would like everybody to please go on and do number 4 before you start. Please make a prediction of whether it's going to be less than 1, greater than 1, or equal to 1. Okay, here we go. First of all, let me get my 1 and 2 down there for my 2 steps. Making a prediction, the question would be, how many groups of 3/5 are there in 3 3/4? Well, since that's a proper fraction and much smaller than my dividend, this is also going to be much greater than 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and put them into fraction form. Leave it as division though. This is going to be 19/5 divided by 3/5. We didn't have to do anything to that. We didn't have to go around the barn. We didn't have to do anything. It was already in fraction form, which means 1 number over top of another number. Okay, so now we do the algorithm for division. Dividend stays the same. Okay, I think I've used that fraction several times now. Regardless, division is going to become multiplication, and the reciprocal is 5 over 3. Okay, 19 times 5, which I've done a couple times here, is 95. And 5 times 3 is 15. First thing that should jump out at you right away is they both end in 5, so therefore they both have a factor of 5. Okay, 95 divided by 5 is 19, because we just did that multiplication there. 19 over 3. Okay, let's go ahead and convert that to a mixed number now. 19 over 3 would be 6. It's going to be 18. We're going to get 1 remainder, 6 1/3. So again, there's the answer I got. There was the prediction. Absolutely correct. I knew it was going to be a lot larger than 1, because 3/5 isn't even 1. Okay, so there you go. So I want everybody at the top of their paper right now to please put what they got out of 4. Now remember, if you didn't show the work, don't count it right. I'm doing this for your own good. Just trust me. I know what's going to be best. And when people try to skip this step right here, when they cut that step out and go straight to multiplication, they forget to do the reciprocal. Just trust me. You got to do both steps. So hopefully you guys did well with it. We'll practice some more tomorrow. See you guys.